Social cognition theory explains that how people process information about the world. Like the way we see the world is on the basis of their cognitive elements, such as your schemas, attributions, and stereotypes. Our schemas, our stereotypes has an influence on how we perceive the world around us. Now, let's understand that there are some key principles of social cognitive theory. First, we'll do these key principles and then move ahead. Let's understand what are these. So, the very first one is that individuals learn the social norms, skills, etc. by observing and imitating others. This is called a social learning theory. For example, a small child sees at home that how his parents are cleaning the house, what work are they doing, gender thing, who usually cooks food at home, who goes to office, how parents pray, how they do other activities, etc. So they learn by observing. Second, individual social cognition consists of various elements, including their schema development, attributions, and stereotyping. Third, observing and involvement with others can communicate society's norms to individuals with cues and conformity and compliance. What does this mean? This means if we communicate with our society, there is a to and fro conversation and gradually to gain conformity, to be a part of the group or to be a part of society, we learn that what other people do, what they expect us to do. For example, pulling a chair and for an elderly person or talking soft in a library. We do all this because we don't want to be the odd one out. We want to have belongingness with the society we are staying in. Fourth, individuals can communicate new norms to society. This is called as reciprocal determinism. Very important point. It was given by Albert Bandura. So what is reciprocal determinism? It means that learning and imitating is not unidirectional. It's not that always I will learn from my environment or from my society. It is bi-directional. The society and environment can also get influenced by me. So I get influenced by environment and environment also get influenced by me. This is called a reciprocal determinism. Very important point to write in your exams. Fifth, individual self-efficacy influences the degree to which they can participate in society. What is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy refers to an individual's belief in their capacity to execute the behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. It's about confidence in one's ability to control their motivation, behavior, and social environment. For example, students with high self-efficacy are more likely to engage in learning, will persist through difficulties, and achieve academic success. Employees with high self-efficacy are more likely to take on challenging tasks, contribute effectively, etc. That culture is learned from primary and second socialization is an important aspect of understanding how cultural norms are maintained or changed. Now the next step is to examine how these norms and behaviors and attitudes, identities are transmitted between group members. To this end, Albert Bandura developed his social cognitive theory. Earlier it was known as social learning theory. Now, according to him, learning can be done both directly and indirectly. In other words, we can learn by performing an action or behavior and experiencing the consequences ourselves. This is the direct learning. Or by observing the consequences of another person's action or behavior. This is indirect learning. Social cognitive theory is an attempt to explain how we learn from others. Social cognitive theory began in the 1960s as social learning theory. Social learning theory is based upon a behavioristic approach to learning which uses classical and operant conditioning, which there is another video for this, to describe how social learning occurs. Now, the behaviorists believe that learning was simply a matter of conditioning a response from a stimulus. Social cognitive theory is the theory that behavior is acquired by observation or imitation of behavior from other members of a group based on the observed consequences of a behavior. Now, an expanded definition also includes interactions in a social context between the individual and social environment and the individual's past and present behavior. The core ideas of social cognitive theory are that behavior and social norms are learned through observation of others. These behaviors are acquired, maintained, and changed in a social context. According to Bandura 2001, many theories of human psychology explain behavior in terms of unidirectional causation, which means that individual behavior is controlled either by environmental influences or internal dispositions. In other words, human psychology is determined by external factors in their environment or internal factors in the individual. Now, in contrast, social cognitive theory explains that human psychology is not only about external and internal, that individual factors like cognition, emotion, and biology interact with behavioral patterns and environmental factors to shape individual behavior and each other. I'll explain further on this. Bandura understood that behavior, society, and cognition are mutually interrelated. He believed that behaviorists were too simplistic in explaining human behavior as being a one-way relationship between the environment and behavior. So, it is not unidirectional. He proposed a model of behavior based upon reciprocal determinism. Again, very important terminology which students must know, which means that there is a mutual influence of three state factors: personal, your cognition, biology, and mood; behavioral; and environmental. It works on the assumption that all these three things are responsible for the way we behave. For example, you are in a bad mood and unhappy when you may affect the mood of those around you and the way they treat you. Others may choose to avoid contact with you or adopt your bad mood and unhappiness while interacting with you. This may in turn reinforce your bad mood and influence your behavior in unhelpful ways when dealing with people around you. Conversely, imagine you are in a great mood and you are able to change your environment by improving the mood of the people around. Now, in this way, you can create a very friendly, stimulating, and supportive environment that will then influence how you interact with or behave with people in that environment. Here you can see the diagram, triadic reciprocal determinism. Now, your behavior has an influence on the environment, and this environment has an influence on your cognition, emotions, etc., which further has an influence on your behavior. Now, this is the cycle that goes the other way round too. So I hope you understood that all these three have an effect on each other and are highly linked. This means that society and culture can influence individuals, but individuals can also influence society and culture. This results in emergent properties such as new societal and cultural norms. I hope you understood this. Now let's understand some important components of the same. First is identification. What is identification? It is a key process as individuals are more likely to learn from observing others they identify with, like parents, siblings, peers, sports, stars, movie stars, so on. So with whosoever you relate yourself or influenced by, you are likely to learn more from them. Like for example, I idolize my father. He is non-violent, very calm. So I am going to learn more from him. I am also going to become more calm, like that person. The second is modeling. It is at the heart of social cognitive theory. What it means that an individual learn behavior through the observation of role models. For example, an individual may learn efficient study habits from watching an older sibling doing homework. Children learn from what they see. If they see their parents working hard, keeping house clean, they will also learn the same thing. If they see their parents eating junk food or be on their mobile all the time, they too are going to do the same thing. So this is known as learning from modeling. Third is expectancies. What does it mean? It means that outcomes also influence behavior, as an individual considers the rewards and consequences associated with imitating a particular behavior. For example, if the older sibling is rewarded for being studious with good grades or more free time, then the younger sibling may expect to be similarly rewarded for being equally studious. Okay. Fourth is self-efficacy, which refers to how able an individual feels to learn a particular behavior as a function of motivation, cognition, or emotion. For example, a younger sibling may not learn to be studious if they already feel outcome by the older sibling or if they don't feel up to the challenge. Now, key concepts in social learning theory, let's do that. Now, social learning theory was developed by Albert Bandura, and the theory itself is credited with building a bridge between old school behavioral psychology and new school cognitive psychology. So I hope you understood that. At least that's how the story went back in 1960s. Bandura worked on social learning theory and then social cognitive theory throughout his career, and applied it to all sorts of behavior, including personality and aggression, etc. Now, the theory itself is partly environmental, that is your role models, partly cognitive, your meditating, mental processes, and partly behavior, a person's thoughts or actions are reinforced or not. Of course, not everyone becomes a role model, no matter whether they are in the news or they are in the movies or the driving the kids to school. Bandura theorized that several requirements determine whether or not social learning will occur and behavior imitated. Attention, like the role model has to be noticed, first of all. Now, Tom Cruise will not be imitated, for example, if the individual hasn't watched him on the TV. Obviously, we need to see them on the TV to imitate. Second, retention, the behavior has to be remembered. Reproduction, the behavior only learned and reproduced if the individual can physically reproduce it. Fourth, motivation, the individual has to want to imitate the behavior. Now, this might come down to cost benefit analysis in the mind, weighing the potential rewards against the potential punishments of imitating a parent, a teacher, a friend, etc. Now, the key thing is that all the requirements have to be met for learning and reproduction to occur. The process of social learning might start as someone notices a role model and remembers their behavior, but if imitation is physically or mentally not possible, then learning and reproduction cannot occur. There has to be a behavioral result. And if you liked it, please like, share and subscribe. And if you have any questions, you have not understood anything, please write in the comments section below. And if you want me to discuss with you any specific questions, SAQs or ERQs, you want me to put up the notes for something, please do let me know. I will definitely upload another video for the same.